Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video I will show you in MVC how to bind records from database into a web grid using without entity framework. And here we got the final output. Notice the employee table is binded in the web grid with the pagination without using entity framework. Let's check the table also. And this is the employee table. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before creating a MVC project, first we'll check the table and the column names. The table name is the employee table, which contains 4 columns: ID, name, email and salary. I want to bind this table into web grid without using entity framework. Let's start the programming part. For this video tutorial, I am creating a new MVC application. Go to File, New, Project, and from the web templates, I am selecting ASP.NET Web Application, and the .NET Framework I am using 4.6.1. The application name is MVC Binding Web Grid. Click OK. And from the templates, I'm choosing MVC4. Click OK. And the MVC project is created successfully. Let's close this default window. Open Solution Explorer. Now in this project, I'm creating a new model class in this models folder. Right click the models, add class. The class name I'm giving EMP class. Click add, and here we got the EMP class. Now in this class I'm creating a public properties, public int ID get set public string. I have 4 columns: name, email and salary. I'm creating 4 public properties: name, get, set, email, and the last one is a salary. Notice here the salary property is a string type, because when I created the employee table, the salary data type I have declared the string. So after adding the public properties, switch to the Solution Explorer. I'm creating a new controller in this controllers folder. Right click the controllers, add controller. I'm selecting MVC5 controller empty, add. The controller name is employee. The controller name, add. Now in this controller, I'm adding the namespaces using the first namespace. I'm adding MVC binding webgrid dot models. The second namespace, I'm adding the data namespace using system.data, using system.data.sql client, and the last one using system.configuration. After adding the models and SQL Server namespaces, the next thing, I am adding the SQL Server database into this data connections. Right click the data connections, add connection. I'm adding server name, user. After adding SQL Server name, I'm selecting the database name, sample DB, test connection, succeeded, OK, OK. And here the sample DB database is added under data connections. Now we need the data source of this sample DB. Right click the sample db.dbo, go to properties, and here the properties, connection string, the data source, copy that one, open Solution Explorer, come to the bottom, web.config file, open that one. In the web.config file, notice the connection strings, which is the default one. So I'm adding my new connection string of SQL Server, add name is equals to my connection string, data source, provider name, system.data.sql client. After adding the connection string in the web.config file, switch to the controller again. Now in the action result index, and this action result index is a get method, so we are retrieving the data from the database. String main con is equals to configuration manager.connection strings. Between double quotes, I am adding the connection string name, which is my connection, dot connection string SQL connection. SQL con is equals to new SQL connection. I'm adding main con. String SQL query is equals to, the SQL query here is a select statement. Select start from, the table name is dbo.employee table. Copy this one, paste here. SQL command SQL com is equals to new SQL command, which takes two parameters. The first one is a SQL query and the second one is a SQL connection object con. Let's open the connection string SQL con.open method and close the connection string close method. Now between this SQL open and close connection, SQL data adapter SDA is equals to new SQL data adapter SQL com. Data set DS is equals to new data set SDA dot. I'm filling data with the data set object. Now after that, I'm adding a list class to collect all the employee details. List. Here I'm adding the EMP class. I'm creating an object LEMP is equals to new list EMP class. For each data row dr in ds dot tables, which takes the integer value 0 dot rows property. Now I am adding the collection of employee details into this LEMP list object. LEMP dot add method new. I'm adding EMP class. Now I'm adding the properties of the EMP class. ID is equals to dr. Between double quotes, I'm adding the column name of the employee table, which is the ID. Copy this one and paste here, comma. Notice we got an error here. Cannot implicitly convert type object to int. So let's typecast this one. Convert dot to int 32. Name is equals to convert dot to string dr. Between double quotes, I am adding the name column name. Let's copy this one. The third property is the email. The column name also email. And the last one is the salary is equals to convert dot to string dr. Between double quotes, I am adding the column name salary. That's it. In the return view, I am adding the list object LEMP. Now we need the view page for this index action result. Highlight the index, right click, add view. The view name is index only and the template I'm choosing empty without model. Add. And here we got the index view page also. The first thing I'm adding in the index view page at modal enumerable. Now in this enumerable I'm adding the project name MVC binding webgrid models. Copy this one and paste here. Dot. The model name is the EMP class. And the viewback title I'm changing to employee details. I'm creating an object for the webgrid. Webgrid grid is equals to new webgrid. The parameters I'm adding model, comma, rows per page. I want to display 5. I'm adding center tag. H1. I'm deleting the header tag index. How to bind data from database into webgrid. H2 without using entity framework. Horizontal line. After the horizontal line, at grid, the object of the webgrid dot get HTML. I'm adding the properties of the webgrid like first text, previous text, last, and next text. First, I'm adding mode colon webgrid pager models colon all. First text. The first text, I want to display the pagination to the webgrid control between double quotes. First, previous text, previous, next text, next, last text, last. I'll add this arrow after the next, and this one also double arrows after the last. Here I got an error. It's not colon, it's dot. Call. Now I'm adding the table columns to this grid. Columns colon new array grid dot column between double quotes. I am adding the column name ID comma grid dot column between double quotes. I'm adding name grid dot column between double quotes. I'm adding the email, the last column name grid dot column salary. That's it. We have done the complete coding part, but before run this application, the main important, we need to change the route.config file, app_start, expand that one, routeconfig.cs, open that one. Notice the controller name is a home, which is a default one. I'm deleting that one. Our controller name is the employee controller. Copy this one. I'm adding the employee name, the controller name, and the action result is the index only, which is this one. That's it. Let's check the results on the browser, Google Chrome. And here we got the final output. Notice the employee table is binded in the webgrid with the pagination without using entity framework. Let's check the table also. And this is the employee table. That's it.